The situation between Oheb and Team Liquid PH just escalated, and it's starting to impact more than just one player. What began as a quiet roster change has now turned into a full-blown controversy involving contracts, legal action, and even a shift to another game. And if you think this is just drama, think again. Because this situation could reshape the MPL PH landscape, affect team chemistry, and even influence how future pro contracts are handled. Welcome back to Mobile Legends News. For those who've been following the MLBB pro scene, Kiel Oheb Soriano isn't just any player. He's a world champion, a finals MVP, and one of the most feared gold laners in the game. As a key piece of Team Liquid PH, his sudden departure raised serious questions. Now, with conflicting statements, a confirmed legal dispute, and his move towards Honor of Kings, this situation has become one of the biggest controversies heading into MPL Philippines Season 17. To fully understand why the situation between Oheb and Team Liquid PH has escalated so dramatically, we need to break down what exactly happened, step by step, based on verified reports, official statements, and confirmed timelines. Because unlike typical esports drama, this one isn't built on rumors. It's built on conflicting narratives, legal action, and real consequences heading into MPL Philippines Season 17. Let's start from the beginning. The timeline officially kicks off in early February 2026. According to multiple reports, Kiel Oheb Soriano submitted his resignation from Team Liquid PH on February 6. This is a critical detail because it directly clashes with how the organization later presented the situation. From Oheb's side, his camp maintains that the resignation was properly filled and communicated. In fact, a legal back statement emphasized that any claims suggesting he disappeared or failed to communicate are inaccurate. But here's where things get a bit messy. On February 24, Team Liquid PH publicly announced that Oheb would be moved to an inactive roster status, not that he had officially left the team. This distinction is massive. In esports, inactive typically means the player is still under contract, just not playing. Naturally, this confused fans, because it didn't align with Oheb's claim that he had already resigned weeks earlier. Then, just one day later, Oheb, through legal representation, released his own statement confirming that he was no longer part of the organization and had already stepped away. At this point, the community started to realize there are two completely different versions of the same story. From there, the situation escalated quickly. Team Liquid PH later clarified their side, stating that while Oheb did submit a resignation, the timing created serious issues for the organization. According to their statement, they were preparing for MPL PH Season 17, which had a roster lock deadline. Oheb's exit, whether formally communicated or not, left the team with only a few days to secure a replacement. And in professional esports, timing is in fact everything. Roster lock deadlines are strict. Teams can't just freely swap players once the season begins. So losing a core player, especially a gold laner of Oheb's caliber, right before the deadline isn't just inconvenient. It's potentially season-defining. This is why Team Liquid PH claims the situation constitutes a breach of contract. By March 27, 2026, the organization made it official. They are pursuing legal action against Oheb. This is the moment where the situation shifted from internal conflict to full-blown legal dispute. And once lawyers get involved, everything changes. Not just for the players in the team, but for the entire league. Now let's talk about what happened next, because this is where things escalated even further. While the dispute was still unfolding, Oheb made a major career move. He appeared in promotional content for Honor of Kings, effectively signaling his transition to another MOBA title. And this move added another layer of complexity. From Team Liquid PH's perspective, this could potentially violate exclusivity or non-compete clauses, common elements in esports contracts. If a player is still technically under contract, engaging with a competing game or brand could be seen as damaging to the organization. This is one of the key reasons the legal situation has become so serious. At the same time, from Oheb's side, the move can be interpreted as simply continuing his career after resignation. And this is exactly why the situation is so controversial, because both sides have arguments that, at least publicly, appear grounded in their own version of events. Now let's shift to how this affected Team Liquid PH internally. Losing Oheb wasn't just about losing a player. It forced immediate roster decisions. The organization initially signed Indonesian gold laner Aaron Shiki as a replacement, but that move didn't go as planned. Due to administrative and documentation issues, the signing fell through before the season even properly began. So now, Team Liquid PH wasn't just dealing with a legal case. They were also dealing with a roster crisis. With limited options, the team promoted Academy player Teddy Cutie to fill the gold lane role. This is a huge shift. Instead of a seasoned international replacement, they had to rely on a developing player to step into one of the most important roles on the team. And yet, despite all this chaos, Team Liquid PH has still been performing competitively in MPL PH Season 17. That alone says a lot about the team system, but it doesn't erase the instability caused by the situation. Now, let's talk about the community reaction, because this is where things get even more intense. The MLBB community has been heavily divided. On one side, you have fans supporting Oheb, arguing for player freedom. They believe that if a player wants to leave, especially after achieving championship success, they should have the right to pursue new opportunities, whether that's another team, another region, or even another game. On the other side, you have fans backing Team Liquid PH, emphasizing professionalism and contracts. Their argument is simple. Teams invest heavily in players, and contracts exist for a reason. If those agreements are broken, especially at a critical time, it sets a dangerous precedent for the entire league. And that's really what the situation has become about. Precedent. Because this isn't just about Oheb anymore. This situation is now raising bigger questions across MPL Philippines and even Southeast Asian esports as a whole. Questions like, how much control should organizations have over players under contract? What counts as proper notice when leaving a team? And can players freely transition to other games while still under contractual obligations? These aren't small questions. They're foundational to how esports operates. Even official reports have highlighted that this case could influence how contracts are handled moving forward in MPL PH. If Team Liquid PH's legal action succeeds, it could reinforce stricter enforcements of contracts. But if Oheb's side prevails, it could empower players to push for more flexibility and autonomy in their careers. And all of this is happening right now as MPL PH Season 17 is underway, so the timing couldn't be more impactful. What makes the situation even more intense is that Team Liquid PH was coming off a dominant run in 2025, winning multiple major titles and establishing themselves as one of the strongest teams in the region. Oheb wasn't just part of that success, he was a core piece of it, which is why his departure and the way it unfolded has such a massive ripple effect. At this point, what we know for certain is this. Oheb submitted a resignation in early February. Team Liquid PH initially presented him as inactive. Both sides released conflicting statements about communication and timing. Oheb then transitioned towards Honor of Kings, and Team Liquid PH is now pursuing legal action over an alleged contract breach. Those are the facts. Everything else, the interpretations, the opinions, the debates, that's what the community is still trying to figure out. And that's exactly why the situation continues to dominate the conversation. Because it's not just drama, it's a turning point. Right now, the situation between Oheb and Team Liquid PH remains unresolved, and that uncertainty is exactly what makes it so impactful. On one side, you have a World Championship player who has already begun transitioning away from the organization, even stepping into a different competitive title. On the other hand, you have a top-tier MPL PH team actively pursuing legal action, standing firm on what they believe is a breach of contract at a critical moment in the season. For Team Liquid PH, this could continue to affect roster stability and long-term planning. even if their current performance remains strong. For Oheb, the outcome of this dispute could influence not just his reputation, but also how easily he can navigate future opportunities across esports titles. And more importantly, this case could set a precedent, potentially reshaping how contracts, exits, and player rights are handled across the entire MLBB competitive scene moving forward. So, what do you think about the situation? Was it handled correctly, or could both sides have done better? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this is one of the biggest stories in MLBB right now. And make sure you stay tuned to Mobile Legends News for the latest updates as the situation continues to unfold. Till next time.